Whether you realize it or not, the 2020s have been a golden age for hip hop at this point. Now, when I say that, what I mean is when you look at the creative boundaries that rappers have to play in, they have never been wider. And when you look at the amount of styles and subgenres that are able to exist within the hip hop canon, there has never been a larger pool of talented artists making so much really creative music. So, looking on this era, today we are going to be counting down the 10 best rappers from the 2020 so far. Let's waste no time and let's get right into it. At number 10, we have possibly the most underrated rapper of all time, Blue. Now, since the late 2000s, Blue has been one of the most gifted rappers in the entirety of the hip hop scene. His thought provoking lyrics, his playful wordplay, and overall his one of a kind conceptual genius just makes each project that he delivers such a treat to unpack. But in the 2020s, Blue has kicked it up another notch, really being in a second prime at this point with albums like Miles and The Color Blue. The creative concepts on this record just give Blue and his experiences this one of a kind feel. The way he's able to tell stories, they are so clever and well thought out. And these records offer so much both in the content of their subject matter, but also in just the atmosphere. They're such feel good records that really honor everything that makes hip hop so special. So, for all of those reasons, Blue is at the number 10 spot. And at the number 9 spot, we have Tyler, the Creator. Now, Tyler ended off the 2010s with a bang. Obviously, with Flower Boy, which was amazing, and Igor, which was amazing. And coming back after another 2 years, Tyler gave us Call Me If You Get Lost in 2021. And this was a great album, which showed that Tyler truly is one of the most creative and versatile rappers that we have ever seen. I mean, the way he was able to switch things up on this project, it was so fun to listen to. Just his hardcore rapping ability over these lavish and rich and polished beats, it made for such a great experience. And just when we thought things couldn't get better for Tyler in this era, he came back just a few weeks ago with the Estate Sale, which added 8 more tracks onto the Call Me If You Get Lost track list, and these songs were just as good and maybe even a little better in some instances. So for Tyler really being at the pinnacle of just great, cutting edge, and overall just fun hip hop, he is going to be at the number 9 spot. And I also got to mention how good this man's feature run has been with tracks like 327 from West Side Gun, Cash In, Cash Out with Pharrell and 21 Savage. I mean, we're just scratching the surface of all of the great guest performances Tyler has given. Something to Rap About with Freddie Gibbs. The list goes on and on. Tyler has been on a run, and maybe after this year, he may climb up this list even higher. Coming in at number 8, we have experimental hip hop titan JPEGMAFIA, who has been amazing in this decade. Now, kicking off the 2020s, he gave us a little collection of loose tracks titled EP. And this was a really fun record which just featured all of these different versions of JPEG's creativity with his high energy, one of a kind beats. It was such a fun experience. Now, after that, he gave us a sequel to that project, which again was a little more of the same, although he went into a little bit more of a melodic direction. I actually wasn't the biggest fan of this project, but where JPEG comes in strong on this list is because of his 2021 album LP. And this record was one of the most creative and just hands down enjoyable hip hop projects that I have ever heard in my life, if we are being honest. I mean, if you look at JPEG's mainline albums, the last 2 projects and really all of his projects have some sort of heavy theme, whether that's talking about a social issue, whether that's talking about something more personal. All of these bodies of work are generally very well focused on an important topic. So to hear JPEG just kind of go in a direction where he was just having fun, rapping, saying anything he wants, and playing with all these different styles of these really, experimental and distorted beats. It was just a great time and a great experience. And adding to all of that, this year, JPEG Mafia teamed up with another modern hip hop legend, Danny Brown, for their collab album, Scaring the Hoes. And this thing was just experimental hip hop mayhem. So, for all of those reasons, for JPEG's great output, he is all the way up at the number 8 spot. Coming in at the number 7 spot, we have a seasoned veteran in the rap game. He has been making music for over 30 years at this point, and I am talking about the Roots frontman Black Thought, who in the 2020s has let himself explore a solo career, and he has done hell of a job creating records with different producers and just expanding out his arsenal as an MC. Now, Black Thought has given us 3 projects in the 2020s. In 2020, he gave us Streams of Thought 3, Cain and Abel, and this was a really dope record, touched on a lot of the stuff that was going on in 2020. Just a super hard-hitting conscious hip-hop record, but where Black Thought really shined was in 2022 with his collaboration with the one, the only production mastermind Danger Mouse in Cheat Codes. This album was one of the best rapper producer albums that I have ever heard, and you can really attribute that to Thought's amazing MC skills. I mean, every single thing about his game is so perfect, from his thoughtful commentary to his intense bars. Every single part of Black Thought's skill set has been mastered, and he has put together great albums with his last 2, with Cheat Codes being a top 5 album of 2022, in my opinion, and his new album, Glorious Game, with L. Michaels Affair, being a really strong follow-up. So for Black Thought, just giving an absolute masterclass in how to be an MC, in how to be an aging rapper, and in how to use your platform to say powerful things and create powerful messages and ideas within your music, he is at the number 7 spot. Just outside the top 5, we have the one and only Kendrick Lamar. And when it comes to Kendrick's output in the 2020s, he has not dropped anywhere near as much music as any of the rappers that we have talked about. But when it comes to Kendrick Lamar, it is always quality over quantity. And, really his only things that he's done this decade were his features on Baby Keem's The Melodic Blue, which Range Brothers was a banger, and Family Ties was pretty much the best hit song of 2021. And then he also did a feature in 2020 on Busta Rhymes' Look Over Your Shoulder, which again was another amazing track with that Michael Jackson sample. But of course, Kendrick gets this high up on the list because of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Now, there is not much about that album that hasn't been said, but the personal journey, the deconstruction of Kendrick's character on that record, it is all so well thought out. The story, the journey, it is so well depicted, and Kendrick once again shows us how to be one of the most conceptually forward-thinking MCs to ever live. Now, why Kendrick's here. I'm not going to keep talking about it, so let's move on to number 5, where we have Griselda Records leader, West Side Gun. Now, West Side Gun is very different from all of the other rappers on this list. Now, he has hands down released the most music, and he is also the most different in terms of his skill set and what he brings to the table. West Side Gun is not as strong of a lyricist as any of these other picks, but that's not his main focus. West Side Gun is a master visionary, a master curator, and he has put together some of the most action-packed and exciting hip-hop projects of the 2020s. Through his great skills to find collaborations, to find artists to feature on his projects, he has given us records like HWH 8, 9, and 10, Pray for Paris, Who Made the Sunshine, and all of these records are just action-packed with that one-of-a-kind, gritty, grimy, and abstract hip hop that he has just mastered the aesthetic of. I mean, across his records in the 2020s, everybody from Tyler the Creator and Black Thought to Lil Wayne and ASAP Rocky have been on this man's projects, and they are all just such fun experiences. I mean, you look at his output, he's given us 10. Peace Fly God, HWH8 Side B and Side A, Who Made the Sunshine, Fly God is an Awesome God, and Pray for Paris. I mean, that is an insane output of projects to put out all in less than 3 years. I mean, that is really just wild, and it is a sentiment to West Side Gun's work ethic. Now, for all of his solo albums, for all of his feature work, for all he has put together, West Side Gun is not just one of the best rappers of the 2020s, but he is one of the most important, being the glue to an entire subgenre and wave of music in hip hop right now. Entering the top four, we are in elite territory with the one and only Little Simz coming in on the Mount Rushmore. Now, Little Simz is an MC who has just been on a tear so far in this decade, giving us some of both the most beautifully sounding and thought-provoking projects that you can ever find in the hip-hop ecosystem. Sometimes I Might Be Introvert was a really genre-changing record coming out at the same time as Kanye's Donda and Drake's CLB. This record stood out as the best project between the two with its conceptual richness, the way Simz is able to explore her past, explore her emotions, and explore her feelings, and project these ideas and her own experiences onto the larger overall being of the world. It's some of the most conscious and well thought out lyrical world building that we have ever seen, for that matter. I mean, No Thank You, her 2022 album, followed up on Sometimes I Might Be Introvert masterfully, just continuing to flesh out the mind and the heart of Simz. We keep learning more about what defines her as a person, what defines her as an artist, and every single record she drops, it's both a healing body of work and one that makes us all the more attached to her. So for all Simz is able to accomplish as a storyteller, as an artist, and as an MC, we are putting her at number 4, rightfully so. Coming in at number 3, we have the one and only Denzel Curry, who has just absolutely blessed us with projects in the 2020s. Now, whether we are looking at, a fun little endeavor like the fiery and flashy Unlocked with Kenny Beats, or we are looking at a career-defining statement in Melt My Eyes, See Your Future, Denzel Curry has managed making fun music and making music that we need to hear so well. And it has given him such a strong output of music in this era. I mean, for every mood and feeling, Denzel has a song for. Whether you want something like Walking, which is, a nice sounding banger with some really, really deep topical exploration, or you want something that's even more thoughtful and thought out, like a track like Angels off Melt My Eyes, or you just want to have an absolute crazy time and listen to something like Diet or Take It Back off Unlocked, Denzel Curry has offered us so much great music this decade, and looking outside of his main 2 projects, he has given us a ton of great singles and features. I mean, whether we are looking at some of his newer bangers with artists like Midwest, Armani White, Jaleel, and Red Veil, or we look at a track like Talk About Me, which teams him up with Jid and Kid Cudi, Denzel Curry has given us so many bangers. This guy has literally not missed 2, and making every single piece of what I said even better. Denzel Curry has given us 2 alternate versions of those mainline projects in Unlocked 2.5 and the Melt My Eyes Cold Soul Edition. So he has actually given us different vibes, different aesthetics, and overall just different experiences of already great projects, which just adds so much to the overall world that he built in those records. So for all of those reasons, for this strong catalog and all that is inside it, Denzel Curry is sitting comfortably at the number 3 spot. Now, if you would have told me that this rapper would be at the number 2 spot, I would have never believed you, but coming in this high up on the list, I am happily surprised to say that Nas has been the second best rapper of the 2020 so far. And I mean, when you just look at that statement, that is absolutely insane. This guy released Illmatic 29 years ago. 29 years ago, and somehow he is managing to outdo almost every single rapper in the modern age. So, what makes Nas this high up on the list is his amazing output. You have the King's Disease trilogy, and you got Magic. Now, all of these records are very similar in style, in sound, but all of them do offer very different things and all continue to explore Nas and his character and his life in these really interesting and valuable ways. Now, Hit Boy's production on all these projects is just amazing. They glue together the storytelling that Nas is just such a master at this point. All of the King's Disease projects, they just feature Nas rapping in a perspective that is just wiser than we have ever heard him. All of the knowledge that he spews on this project, it is truly some of the most valuable commentary that you can get from a rap record. And that is something that we should not take for granted. Nas has lived on this earth for almost 50 years and he is giving us so much advice and he's doing it in such a fun and clever and beautifully sounding way. I mean, it's just ridiculous how hard this man has been working and how good he has been. I mean, he is at the pinnacle of rappers who are aging like wine. And we're supposed to get King Disease 4 this year. And if it follows the trend of the last projects, hey, he may be number one. But now it is time to unveil the number one pick on this list. But before I do that, I would like to thank today's sponsor, SeatGeek. Use the code FHH to get $20 off your first purchase on SeatGeek. Whether you're going to see a concert or you're going to a playoff game or any other event that you are attending, go on SeatGeek, use that code. You know how it works. If the seat is green, it's a good deal. If it's red, it's a bad deal. Thank you for sponsoring this video, SeatGeek. Use the code FHH for $20 off. And before we get to our number one, I just want to unveil some honorable mentions who I regretfully had to cut from this list. All of these rappers have been phenomenal this decade so far, and I just want to give them some love. So shout out to Kevin Abstract, Vince Staples, Billy Woods, 21 Savage, Benny the Butcher, Kanye West, Musically, not in any other way, Freddie Gibbs, Boldy James, and Conway the Machine. All of these rappers have had great outputs in the 2020s, putting out a ton of great projects, and they all deserve their respect. But topping off the list, at number one, you may have guessed it, we have Dreamville's J.I.D. Now, when you look at what this era of hip hop represents, you cannot escape JID's presence. He has been so dominant in the 2020s, and everything that he's done is all centered around his amazing body of work. My 2022 album of the year, The Forever Story, which really is the ultimate hip-hop record embodying every single aspect of what makes the art form so beloved by so many people. JID is the glue to generations new and generations old. I mean, just look on the feature list of that project. It features everybody from Lil Durk to Lil Wayne. Now, when you look at JID outside of The Forever Story, which is his only solo album, he has contributed to the rap game in so many other ways in terms of both his collaboration efforts on Dreamville, like D-Day with DJ Drama and the rest of the Dreamville crew, and also the Creed 3 soundtrack, which he delivered a couple of really memorable tracks on. In addition to those projects, JID has been at the pinnacle, at the center of features and also just great singles in the 2020s. I mean, this guy has collaborated with everybody from Denzel Curry to Griselda. He has been stepping up to the plate with every single artist, and even outside of hip hop. He's collaborated with Imagine Dragons and John Legend and Doja Cat, and he embodies every single performance that he has. And also, I forgot to mention, JID also has his 2020 album Spillagin with Spillage Village, which is actually pretty underrated. I revisited it before making this list, and honestly, I was sleeping on it a little bit. I will admit that he delivered a ton of great performances there. So, for all that he has done, for all of the places that JID dominates in the hip hop space, for his one of a kind flow, one of a kind delivery, one of a kind wordplay, one of a kind storytelling, JID right now is the best rapper of the 2020s. Do you agree with my list? Let me know in the comments below. I am really curious to hear what your thoughts are. And let me just be clear, this isn't the right list. This is just my list. So if you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. Tell me in the comments what you disagree with, who should have been here, who shouldn't have been here. And I would love to hear your reasoning. And hey, maybe you'll change my mind. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a ton, and it is free to do. So be sure to be on the lookout for new videos as we have a ton of great stuff coming on the way. Thank you all for watching. Mr. F, Fantastic Hip Hop, signing out. Have a great day.